Hello everyone. In this special video, I'm going to run you through the syllabus that any aspirant for the multiple law entrance examinations conducted across India should be prepared for. We'll start with the basic subject of English. Now, English is something which cannot be learnt overnight. So a person who has been conversant with this subject for a long period of time, right from primary school level, would find it easy. But even those from a vernacular medium would not find it extremely difficult if they concentrate on certain basic areas. So as far as English is concerned, the very first thing that you must concentrate on is speed reading. That is, how quickly can you read and understand a material which is presented to you. Now, by improving your speed of reading, you will not only gain a lot of time in the English section of the paper, but you will be able to read all the questions of the entire paper, which effectively saves a lot of time. So once you are conversant with speed reading, the next logical topic to be taken over is reading comprehension, for which you require to have the knowledge of vocabulary, that is different words. The best way to improve your vocabulary is not to just memorize different words, but to understand the way these words are formed, and that is word roots. So once you understand how basic words in English are formed, that is the concept of word roots, you will be able to also identify and learn things like synonyms, antonyms, spellings, which is one of the extremely important sections of English these days, and so on. Once you are done with your basic vocabulary, it is extremely important to concentrate on the grammar, for which you need to know the different parts of speech and the way they are used, the various rules and exceptions that exist. Then jumbled passages or parajumbles is something which is of extreme importance. You would be given a passage of about 5 to 6 lines in which the sentences are not in the proper order. So you would have to identify the proper order in which the sentences are supposed to be written. One small topic which you might need to understand and learn is analogies. So English basically would consist of your speed reading, your reading comprehension, your basic knowledge of vocabulary, word roots, synonyms, antonyms and spellings, grammar, jumbled passages and analogies. If you are comfortable with these, you can expect to score reasonably well in English. Now, the next subject that I am going to give you the basics of is logic. In logic, there are two different kinds of logic. One is analytical reasoning and the second is critical reasoning. For analytical reasoning, you need to be comfortable on topic like series, which could include number series, it could include alphabet series, it could include alphanumeric series, and it could include visual series. Now, be prepared for this, that visual series is generally not asked in CLAT, but it might be asked in the other entrance examinations. Once you are conversant with series, coding decoding is the next natural step to follow. Then you must be able to understand the relations given between people and how to identify what is the relation between A and B. One other important section is directions, where you are given a set of instructions and you have to trace the path of the person. You can have different puzzle based questions where you are given a set of clues and you have to analyze the given data. Table based puzzles is the most common type of puzzles which are asked. Another variation of puzzles is seating arrangement. Then you could have something known as syllogisms or deductive reasoning, a question which has often been asked in many papers across different entrance examinations. Now, these are the main topics which would generally appear in most of the entrance exams, but then there are a couple of other topics like foreign languages or artificial language and questions on cubes and cuboids which may be asked. Although we haven't seen the appearance of such questions in entrance examinations, you would do well to learn the basics so that you can identify and understand how to go about solving such questions. So that is as far as analytical reasoning is concerned. There is another type of reasoning which is critical reasoning, and in this you could have questions based on assumptions, questions in which you have to find the conclusion, then questions in which you have to identify whether the given arguments are strong or weak. There could be questions based on assertions and reasons. There could be questions based on cause and effect. So these are some of the fundamental types of questions which can come in critical reasoning section, where your knowledge of the language and the ability to understand and analyze the written word and the implied meaning of statements is checked. So a person who is fairly good with language and has a reasonable command over logic should do well in this section. For examinations like CLAT, the emphasis on critical reasoning is increasing exam after examination. Now, one other type of question which can come in the logic section or which can come in the English section is odd man out, where it's a test of your basic understanding of reasoning or GK, that is general knowledge. Now, once you're done with your mathematics and reasoning, we have seen so far the basic fundamentals for English and logic. Now, for the law aspirants, a very important subject is legal aptitude. In legal aptitude, there could be two sections. One could be reasoning and the second could be awareness. So in questions of legal reasoning, you could have questions based on certain fundamental things, which could include your basic knowledge of contracts, your basic knowledge of criminal law. It could be based upon the fundamentals of torts. It could be based upon the Constitution of India. It could be based upon personal laws or any miscellaneous law. Now, students need not worry about learning the basics of the Indian Contract Act or the IPC and so on, because they don't expect you to know these laws. They would give you a basic principle. You have to understand the principle and apply it to the given facts and derive the answer. So don't go about mugging the IPC or the Indian Contracts Act. Leave it for the 5 years of college. Here they are just trying to understand whether you can interpret the given data in a correct way. Now, that is the reasoning portion. In awareness, you could be asked questions related to the legal history of India, facts from the Constitution, facts related or pertaining to law of the land, and so on. So you would also do well to remember some basic maxims of law, certain legal terms, certain basic facts from the Constitution of India, so certain basic facts from the history of law in India, so on and so forth. So this is what the legal aptitude section of any paper would generally comprise of. As far as general knowledge and current affairs is concerned, general knowledge is such a vast subject that it would be foolish for anyone to try and give you a proper syllabus for the same. But then there are certain basic areas which you would do well to concentrate upon. You can take a look at the history both of India and the world, the fundamental geography of the world around us, some basic economic terms, some basic political affairs which has taken place, some basics of science, this world of sports, the different cultural events and related news in India and across the world. These are some of the basic areas on which you can concentrate. Of course, general knowledge and current affairs can be above and beyond all this. So a student who wishes to prepare for this section would do well to regularly read newspapers and current affair magazines which come on a periodic basis. So we have dealt with the basics of English, logic, legal and GK. Now comes the smallest section of the paper, and yet the section which most students seem to fear, and that would be the section of mathematics or quantitative ability. Now, the first thing which any student who is preparing for the entrance examinations must remember is quick calculations. If you are good with your number tables, your multiplication tables and addition and subtraction, then most of the problems are done in a quick span of time. Then you should know the basics of different numbers, the divisibility rules, finding out HCFs and LCMs, so on and so forth. Then interest, which is both simple and compound interest, is an important chapter which is often asked. You could have questions pertaining to profit, loss and discount. So for these you need to be good with the basic concepts of averages, with the basic concepts of percentages and the basic concepts of ratio and proportion. Once you are done with these basic concepts, then you can have different problems which are nothing but a combination of such basic things, which would include topics like mixtures and solutions. It could include questions on time, speed and distance, or boats and streams, which is nothing but a variation of time, speed and distance. You could have questions from time and work, or pipes and systems, which are very closely linked to each other. Now these are the fundamental topics in mathematics which you must do. There are other certain areas of mathematics from which rarely questions are asked, but you would do well to prepare for those topics. They would include some basic questions, some basic fundamentals from concepts of algebra, concepts of mensuration, concepts of geometry. Remember, CLAT does not ask questions which are visual in nature, but that doesn't prevent them from asking word problems pertaining to the subject. Some basic concepts of probability, you need not be very advanced in it. Basic probability is fine. You could have questions pertaining to permutation and combination. You could have questions which are from the area of set theory. You could have questions pertaining to clocks and calendars. You could have questions pertaining to partnerships, or you could have problems on ages. So these are the basic areas of mathematics. The third set of topics which I give are rare topics. So in case you are not very comfortable with mathematics, then it's okay if you decide to not concentrate much on these topics. The first two sets are extremely important. So this is basically the syllabus that any student who wishes to appear for different entrance examinations like the CLAT or the ILET or the symbiosis entrance test for law, or the entrance test conducted by Christ University, or the entrance test which is conducted by other organizations pertaining to law would create. For students who wish to appear for the LSAT, you just need to concentrate a lot on English and logic. There is no mathematics, there is no GK, there is no legal aptitude and awareness in the LSAT. So if you are prepared well for these topics, then it's very easy to crack any entrance examination. Remember, it's not about swatting, it's not about spending n number of hours, but it's about quality work. Take the past year papers, analyze them thoroughly, and you'll be surprised that with a limited amount of preparation, it's not that difficult to crack any of the entrance examinations. My name is N. Satyanarayan. This was a basic tutorial on preparation and the syllabus required for law entrance examinations. Wish you all the best. Have a good day.